Welcome to today's debate, where we'll dive into one of the most profound and thought provoking questions in human history. Does the existence of morality prove the existence of God?
Morality has to come from somewhere. If it's just a human invention, then why should we follow it? Take an act like murder or slavery. Society universally recognizes these as wrong. But why? The Bible says humans are created in the image of God, and this gives every person an inherent dignity and worth that informs our moral compass. Without God, morality is reduced to opinion, no different than saying, I like chocolate ice cream. It's subjective, with no ultimate authority to declare something right or wrong for everyone. God is the grounding for objective moral values, the very reason we can agree on universal truths like justice or fairness.
That argument assumes that morality needs a divine foundation, but there's no evidence to support that. Humans are social creatures. Our sense of morality developed naturally to help us survive and thrive in communities. Evolution explains this. Cooperative behavior and fairness evolved because they increase the likelihood of group survival. And just because we don't believe in a God doesn't mean morality becomes subjective or meaningless. It's based on reason, empathy, and shared human experience. Societies consistently agree on certain principles, like fairness or protecting the vulnerable, because they lead to better outcomes, not because a deity handed them down.
But if morality is purely about survival, why would someone sacrifice their life for a stranger? Why fight against oppression in societies where standing up for what's right could cost your life? If morality is just about group benefit, those actions make no sense. They point to something higher, an innate sense of right and wrong that goes beyond survival. Even atheists often act as though objective morality exists. They condemn things like genocide or abuse as objectively wrong, not just inconvenient for survival. Where does that standard come from if not God?
People risk their lives or fight against oppression because of empathy and principles, not because of divine commands. It's part of being human to feel a connection to others and to want to alleviate suffering, even at a cost. And yes, we can call things like genocide objectively wrong, because we use reason to evaluate their harm. We don't need a supernatural being to tell us that murder is harmful. It's self-evident through the consequences. Morality doesn't come from a god. It comes from our collective humanity.
Morality isn't just about rules, it's about objective truths that transcend time and culture. For example, no matter where or when you live, things like murder and stealing are seen as wrong. These universal moral truths suggest a moral lawgiver, God. If morality were purely a human construct, it would change with societal trends. But it doesn't. Even atheists appeal to universal values, like fairness or justice, when debating morality. Where do these objective truths come from, if not from a higher, unchanging source? Morality points to the existence of God as the ultimate standard.
That's an interesting claim, but it assumes morality has to be grounded in something absolute to be meaningful. I disagree. Universal moral instincts don't prove a god. They're just a byproduct of human evolution and culture. For example, empathy helps groups cooperate and thrive, which is why we see similar moral principles across societies. We don't need a divine lawgiver to explain this. And if morality really comes from God, why do different religions and cultures have different moral rules? Wouldn't a universal lawgiver make morality clearer and less contradictory?
But evolution and cultural norms can't account for why we feel guilt or a sense of moral obligation, even when it's inconvenient. Why do people often choose to act morally even when it goes against their own self-interest? Evolution might explain survival-based cooperation, but it doesn't explain selfless love or the deep conviction that some things are truly right or wrong, even if society disagrees. That conviction points to something greater than us, a divine moral source imprinted on our hearts.
I think you're confusing feelings of guilt or obligation with evidence for a divine being. Those feelings come from how we're raised and our brain chemistry. For example, guilt is a way our brains reinforce social norms, ensuring we contribute to the group. It's powerful, yes, but it doesn't require a supernatural explanation. And morality changes. Look at history. Slavery, once accepted by societies, and even religious texts, is now condemned. If morality were truly from a divine source, why has it evolved so much over time?
The arguments presented today highlight the profound complexity of tying morality to the existence of God. On one side, we heard that objective moral values, those that transcend cultural or societal constructs, point strongly to a divine source, suggesting a moral lawgiver who underpins these universal principles. Conversely, the opposing view argued persuasively that morality can emerge naturally from human empathy, social cooperation, and evolutionary processes without requiring divine intervention. This debate leaves us with the question, does morality derive its authority from a higher power, or is it an innate feature of humanity's drive to live harmoniously? While no definitive conclusion can be reached here, this dialogue emphasizes the importance of understanding and respecting diverse perspectives on this age-old issue. Please take a moment to subscribe to this channel